Hi everyone, and welcome to this session of expert interview. Today we have Alex, who is a strengths coach, and he'll be aiding us in all the strengths topics that we've been talking about. Now Alex is someone whom I know personally as a friend, and he's really passionate about what he does. Um, because he's really one of the most kind and generous and kind-hearted people whom I know, and really just serves uh, wholeheartedly. Now, Alex is the founder of one of the largest strengths meetup group in Asia, um, and and is really growing. It's really growing and a very dynamic community, and it's something that I am part of personally as well. Now, Alex is a certified strengths coach by Gallup. He's also certified in career profiling. He's also a certified NLP practitioner, and he does one-on-one coaching as well on his website, Strengths Alchemy, where he works one-on-one with you to you know unlock your potential and find your interests and passions. So Alex, do you have anything to say?
Hi, thanks for having me. It's good to be on an interview with Wei, who I also know to be someone who is very passionate and very into helping people to identify what they really love to do and to pursue that.
Okay, oh, by the way, if you guys didn't know, Alex is also from NTU, and he's a PSC scholar. So okay, I think without further ado, let's go into the Q&A session. So Alex, why do you love your work, and why does it matter so much to you? I mean, you're holding meetups every single month, and you're building this great and awesome community. Why do you love it so much?
I think helping people to discover their strengths is it's in itself a very enriching process, right? It helps us to see who we are, see who we are not, and be able to accept us for who we really are. I think one of the things that's really wasted in life is when someone tries to be someone else rather than who they uniquely are created to be. And when you do that, you actually create a gap that someone else needs to fill, because I believe that there's something that only you specifically can do that no one else can do. So helping people to discover who they are, helping them to be in a position of strengths to do what naturally energizes them and what they love, and seeing that transformation take place in improving of their life, improving of their performance is just a sight to behold.
All right, thanks. So now let's go. What is your personal journey? I mean, how did all of this start? How do you even come across StrengthsFinder, and what were the challenges and obstacles that you faced personally as well?
Well, I came across StrengthsFinder in a bookshop somewhere around 2009. And when I read the description behind, it just looked very interesting, right? Learn about your strengths, learn how to put it into practice. So I bought the book, found that there was an assessment. Actually, I bought the book because there was an assessment. And when the results came out, it was so accurate that it blew me away. It blew me away so much that I bought the book for a friend just so that I could see his results. So after he's done it, we went through the results, we compared notes, said how amazingly accurate it is, and then it went into our drawers, for the next couple of years. That is until a couple of years later, our church decided to use StrengthsFinder as a tool to develop the leaders. So we started to look at, hey, how can we position the leadership team in areas of their strengths so that we can work better with each other. So what we did is we came together, we bought books from Borders when it closed down at a discount, and got everyone to do their assessment. And we created our own program in terms of, hey, what's this about? Kind of getting to know each other. After that, we kind of pondered and wondered, hey, are we doing this right? That's when a friend of mine actually flew over to Omaha to take the certification. And when he came back, he said this, hey, Alex, we are doing this all wrong, and we need to redo everything. So let me train some of you as facilitators, and then we could take our group through StrengthsFinder again. And in 2013 November, Gallup actually brought the certification course to Singapore. That's when my friend came to me and said, hey, Alex, would you like to go for the certification. I think it's something you love and something you do very well. So I spoke with few people, looked at what the outcomes were, what the costs were. I took the plunge, and I realized that hey, you can do StrengthsFinder, or rather, StrengthsFinder is so deep that you can do so many things with it. And I didn't want people to have the same experience as me, right? You get this report that looks so good, and then it goes into a drawer, and there's the most important piece, which is actually application. How do I use my strengths, apply it to my life in such a way that it creates this increase in performance, right? It increase in energy, increase in my energy levels. So that's when we started to really create the meetup group so that other people could come. How many people are there out there who has taken the StrengthsFinder assessment and like me do not know what to do with it? So that was a hypothesis to test, right? Yeah. And when I created a meetup group, people started to come, and quite a number of them indeed have taken an assessment without knowing how far and how deep they can go, right? How do I discover what my strengths are, what my talents are? How do I use them? What do I do with my weaknesses? Do I ignore them? Can I know more about this? So the StrengthsFinder meetup really grew from a smaller group, and it's really the value that each and every person brought with them, the experiences, the questions, the insights that really made it very valuable for the whole group and for me as well.
Right, thanks. Okay, how do you know that StrengthsFinder is the direction that you wanted to go in? And yeah, it's all about taking the plunge, right? I'm sure a lot of viewers who are watching this want to know what made you take the plunge, I guess.
Well, I've compared a few different tools, right? The popular ones in the markets are DISC or DISC, MBTI, and of course now StrengthsFinder. So there are other smaller ones around or more expensive ones around, depending on what you're exposed to. But StrengthsFinder is the one that I found it's most intuitive in terms of application, right? So the other tools are generally very good for knowing how to work with one another. It may be quite useful for relationships, right? There are usually 4 types that most people look at. And if you're familiar with TetraMap, let's say you've gone to Army and you are now an officer, I understand that the SAF uses TetraMap for your officers. So everyone is kind of exposed to something and gives us an idea of, hey, are you more relational? Are you more task-oriented? Are you more proactive? Are you more passive? So that would be a DISC model. But how do we translate that into action, into your work? How do we translate that into how you apply with someone else? How do you build a team using that? And I think that StrengthsFinder comes out tops in terms of application, and it's really much easier once you understand what your talents are to apply them in your life. So after a while, I think part of this only became a lot clearer once you take the plunge, to be honest, right? So before you get there, you kind of making a guess as to, hey, this seems like it. And when you take the plunge, then you go, oh yeah, this is it.
Okay.
So clarity sometimes comes after you have made the decision.
But it was a gut feel. It was a gut feel.
I think there was a lot of research into what it is as well. But Gallup doesn't provide you on a platter all the tools as to how to use StrengthsFinder and all this until you actually go for it. So you only discover the depth of how you can use this after you actually gone through training. Now, I'm not saying that everyone should be certified as a Gallup coach or even a strength strategy coach. But if that's where you want to go in terms of helping other people or applying it in your organization, then it's definitely a very good route to take. But if you want to, say, develop yourself or develop relationships between people or even develop your team, right? Well, just find a coach to help you with that, right? And it could to help you walk through, help you understand, so that you can improve the way that you do things, right?
Right. So Okay, thanks for sharing. Now, next question. Why is strengths so important, and what is the difference between someone who leverages it and someone who doesn't?
Why is strengths important?
Yeah, why is knowing your strengths so important?
Would you tell me that knowing your strengths is not important?
Well, I mean, there are a lot of people out there who are probably not aware of StrengthsFinder, be in their professional or personal lives. And I guess what would be the difference? What would be the main advantage that someone will gain if he's very conscious about his top five strengths, perhaps?
I think one of the most common questions that people get when they're going for an interview is this: what are your strengths and what are your weaknesses?
Yeah.
And if most of us are honest with ourselves, we find that when someone asks us what our strengths are, we are often at a loss of what to say. A lot of us end up, making something up on the spot. And then when an interviewer asks you for what are your weaknesses, you probably can think of a lot of weaknesses, yet try all ways to cover it up and make it sound like something good. So now the reason of that is because most of us are aware more of our weakness rather than our strengths. And that's really a outcome of our culture, whereby we really try to have a weakness fixing mentality, right? If you go back home with a report card, I'm not sure about your generation, right? But for our generation, most likely parents will start looking at, hey, why didn't you do so well for this? Go buck up or send for tuition, right? And we're expected to be good at everything.
Yep.
And so that reminds me of one of my favorite quotes, right? That Einstein said, if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it would live its whole life believing it's stupid. And the thing that most of us try to do is we try to be good at everything, right? And never really giving ourselves the time to focus and discover what we're really good at. Now, when we discover what we're really good at, this came from John C. Maxwell, and he said that I've never met a successful person who didn't know what his strengths were. Every successful person that I've met has always known their area of strengths and worked on it until they became successful. So you look around, why is strengths important? It's important simply because it is your greatest area for growth, for performance and for potential, right? It's your greatest leverage you have in making sure that you shine. Now, why would you want to work on your weaknesses, right? Weaknesses, however, then doesn't mean that we ignore weaknesses. We need to learn how to work around weaknesses. We need to learn how to mitigate them. But to try to work on our weaknesses as if it was our strengths, it's really pretty much a waste of time.
Yeah. All right. Thanks. Now next, what are three ways that you would recommend aspiring young people to develop and hone their strengths? Yeah.
3 ways. Well, Gallup's development process has 3 steps, right? So if I were to just plug it in and use it,
Yeah.
the first thing is really to name it.
Okay.
Right? To name it really means to be able to identify what your strengths are and to know what it means. So in StrengthsFinder terms, know what your top 5 are, or know what your top 10 are if you take the full report.
Yep.
The second step is really to claim it. Now, can you see those strengths in yourself? Some people take the report and say, hey, this is not me. And some reasons that results in that is because they look at the dictionary definition rather than what is the definition of that particular talent team, or they simply are not aware it's a blind spot.
Yeah.
So I've had people who, it's like so natural to them that they're not even aware they're doing it. So being aware of where your strengths are, it's so important, and knowing and seeing it in yourself rather is so important, because then you can claim it. And finally, when you know what your strengths are, you can see it in yourself, you aim it, which is how do I apply it? How do I use it? Right? Whether at work, at home, relationships, so on and so forth. So this is the standard 3 steps that we have in terms of how do we use our strengths. What is one practical step that everyone can take to start discovering their strengths? Well, simply take the assessment, right? Easiest way is to take the StrengthsFinder assessment. And I know that there are sometimes free tools out in the market. I'm not sure if that's been taken down. Now, the danger of using a free tool on the internet is you do not know its source and you do not know whether it's validated. Now, I think it could in fact be damaging to start working on certain teams that may not even be you. So if you are a certified your person certified in any profiling tool, they will tell you that hey, it could actually be cognitively more damaging for you to take a unvalidated tool.
Okay, I think the main issue, I mean, taking the test and seeing the strengths with the 20-page report given is pretty detailed. I think what people want to really know, or maybe you can just give a few tips here. It's on the last step, which is so name it, own it, name it,
Name it, claim it,
claim it, and the last one is
aim it.
aim it. So I think the last step of aim it is to can you elaborate a bit more on that?
You can't learn to fly before you learn to walk or crawl, right?
Yeah.
So that's what most people come. They come to my meetup group and say, hey, Alex, I want to learn how to apply my strengths, right? Then my first question to them is, do you know what they are? Do you know what it means for you? Do you know what makes you fulfilled? What makes you shine? What makes you get in the flow? Or do you know what makes you frustrated? And what are all the elements, right? So without understanding that piece of yourself, it's very difficult to aim. Though everyone says, hey, I want to start aiming. But you need to first know yourself. If you look at a basic emotional intelligence model, the first step is really self-awareness, right? Then you go into self-management. So the awareness part is really the first step.
Okay.
So if you want to learn how to aim it, first name it and claim it.
So if someone wants to learn how to aim it, they probably have to work with you, right?
Well, one good way is for them to work with me. There are different ways that a person can learn to aim it. Now, I think it's pretty intuitive in terms of aiming once you understand your talent teams clearly, right? So I was coaching a friend some time back, and he does web development. One of the things that he doesn't like to do is to do reports for clients. So after we went through the process of naming and claiming, he understood what his talent teams were. It was a simple task of asking this question: how can you use your talents in this thing that we are doing? And that's the only question you need to ask. Okay, that's not the only question, but that's a very good question that you can ask that would help a person to start thinking about how can I use it? How can I do things differently because of my top 5 or my top 10? But that only comes after you have the foundation of understanding, hey, what these are.
Yeah, I think, I mean, that's thanks for the excellent sharing on strengths. I think now let's just look at a bigger view as a whole. So what are maybe 3 habits that you use personally to live life to the fullest?
I think one of the things that we need to do is to learn how to get out of our comfort zone. Right? So a lot of times there are things that we like to stay in a comfort zone, and the growth zone can really be uncomfortable. So learning how to step out and then come back and recharge when necessary becomes a very useful habit to have, right? The other thing that's very useful to have is to be curious. Be extremely curious about what's possible or what's not. This person called Richard Bandler, he's one of the developers of NLP, and he said this: if the answer to the question, is it possible, is always yes. Right? Or another quote that comes to mind is, you will never know whether something is impossible until you attempt it.
Yep.
So be curious and learn to expand your boundaries so that we can really grow. And I believe in this quote that says, when a person stops learning, they start dying.
Yep. You're either growing or you're dying.
Yeah. Physically, we could do both, but yeah. So I think
so. That's two. Maybe the last one, maybe.
The last habit: find a support group, find a team, people who are close to you that can really give you honest feedback, that can support you when required. I think even in StrengthsFinder, we know that no man's an island. we all have our strengths and weaknesses. Now, some of us really need a team, people who can support you, learn to grow that team. I think it's important to not try to go at everything yourself, which some people do.
Right. Thanks. Okay, I think we've gone on the last question now, and that is, I guess, the biggest lesson that you have learned from your journey in building this amazing Strengths Finder community after a few years, right? So what is one biggest lesson?
I think one of the most important thing we can do is to discover our calling or even our passion. Now, we can know what we are good at. We need to be able to know where we want to apply it. So we have strengths, but what are you going to do with your strengths?
Yeah.
So we need direction. And knowing our calling and our passion, which I know you're a big fan of, is really helps to ensure that we are going in the correct direction. So Stephen Covey has this anecdote that he talks, right, about people climbing a ladder.
Yep.
And ultimately, when they reach the top of the ladder, they find that it's leaning on the wrong wall. So we do need to explore and to understand what we are here for, right? What we are specially designed to do, and learn to move towards that direction. Now, I'm not saying that, immediately you will know, hey, I know that I'm called to do this. I know that I'm called to be a doctor. I know that I'm called to serve the poor, or I know I'm called to a certain ministry. But it takes time to discover and time to really journey through. And you'll find that sometimes this changes, right? And your experiences build up over time. That really leads you to something that really only you can do. So I think the most important thing is to be aware, be open to discovering what your calling is, what your passion is.
All right. Thanks, Alex, for this amazing insights on strengths and life itself. So I think I just want to end by letting you guys know that Alex has this meetup group here in Singapore, right here in Singapore. You can find his meetup group at www.meetup.com/strengthsfinder-Singapore network. The link is below. You can find it below. It's basically what Alex does is he does monthly. It's like a free group coaching. So when you go there, you will meet a lot of amazing people, and you get to really benefit a lot. You really will get a lot of value out of it, and learn the kind of learn how to apply your strengths. I think that's the most important thing. You can also work with Alex if you want, one-on-one. You can find him at his website, www.strengthsalchemy.com, and he does career coaching, he does strengths coaching, he does life coaching. I think Alex is someone who you really will want to be helped, to be coached and mentored after. So once again, thank you, Alex, for your time. Thank you so much for being with us here today. Do you have any last words?
Can I put you in the spot? I think that's a yes. You've been in contact with StrengthsFinder for a while. What would you say StrengthsFinder, or knowing your strengths, has benefited you the most in?
For me?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, sure, no problem. Well, for me, I think first of all, it's the community. The community has been really, really good, because I joined StrengthsFinder about 4 months ago, and it's by sheer chance. I was introduced by a friend, and I got to meet a lot of amazing people there whom we get to talk a lot with on a daily basis, because we have a WhatsApp group that we interact with. And second of all, I think it really got me to become really, really conscious about strengths, and to know that there are a lot of other people out there who are also searching for their strengths, and you can actually work together with these people and just discuss about strengths. So if you have any question at all, right, you can literally post your question on the WhatsApp group or Facebook group or the meetup group, and your questions will be answered. There'll be a discussion. It's very intellectually stimulating, and it's really, really awesome insights that are being generated. So that's what that's what I have benefited from the meetup group.
Okay. So how has knowing your strengths benefited you?
Okay, I think. All right. I think we'll continue this conversation after.
Okay, sure.
So I think that's all for now. Do you want to say any last words?
No, I'm good. Hope to have you all around the meetup group if you all have free and have time. If not, if you're interested to find out more about how strengths can help you and how you can use it in your own life, drop me an email at alex@strengthsalchemy.com, and we'll just catch up.
Oh, actually, one more thing. Like, what would you say to an aspiring young person who is trying to find his direction in life?
Contact me and I'll coach you. No. I think be open to explore. Now, if you're young, chances are you may not have a lot of life experiences, right? So gather life experiences, learn to not shut out possibilities too early, right? So as you start to explore, start to take note about what works, what doesn't work, and why. Be able to differentiate between something that really suits you versus something that's uncomfortable because it's new, right? There's some people who reject something too early and never really got to discover and understand some of this new stuff. So if you're young and you really want to discover your passion and your calling, experiment, right? Play around, have fun. I think being young, the best thing is, you have so much energy, you have this wonderful group of friends that as I look back, I just wish that, I played around a little bit more in terms of exploring different things. There are only certain things you can do when you're young, right?
Yeah.
And once you have that, it's good to find a mentor. If you have someone who can mentor you, may not even be a certified coach, right? Get someone who is more experienced, someone trusted, someone whose values you're aligned to, and get someone to mentor you in the process. This person might be able to, shorten your learning curve and really help you to get to your endpoint much quicker.
Okay. Thank you so much for your time, Alex, and we'll be seeing you around soon. Cheers.
Right.